Good morning, student. My name is Shivam Mishra, and we are here to discuss the today's newspaper analysis. We are doing the Hindu series, and let's get started. The today's news. The first one is there was a heading which talks about the brain India's brain trust. It talks about that India has transitioned from being a world's back office to it has become a strategic nerve center for global corporation. So we need to understand what does it mean to say. It was telling us that earlier there was a cheap labor in India, and that because of that only the people come to here as take the service, especially in IT sector. Now, because of increasing the global capability centers, India has increased number of global capability center, and because of that the India's has now transitioned from being an world's back office. Back office is like a taunt where people do extracurricular activities, and that is not much of use. So it is taunting that India was earlier a world's back office, and now it has transitioned to India's strategic nerve center for global cooperation. The evolution was it was talking about which emphasizes end-to-end product ownership and enterprise scale deployment of technologies like AI. Currently, we had 58% of global capability centers in India are investing in agentic artificial intelligence, which are autonomous systems capable of reasoning and executing complex tasks, enhancing their role in global strategic leadership. India houses over 1100 global capability centers, employing near 2 million professionals, offering MNCs access to unique talent pool and enabling faster innovation cycle through Flow the Sun model. So this keyword become important, Flow the Sun model. It is being helpful in high-end research and development, especially in quantum computing, semiconductor, and end-to-end product cycles. This has widened the talent gap in niche skills like AI security, quantum resistance, cryptography, and wage inflations. Global capability centers faces cybersecurity risk, with India-based center handling 13.7% of the global cyber attack incident, according to the CIFOMA report, and the Digital Personal Data Protection Act increasing cybersecurity governance pressure. So this was a news all about. Next one is the Women Reservation Act. It was passed to provide reservations in Lok Sabha, that is lower house, the house. It will provide 33% of reservation for the women. But it was attached, the article talks about that how it can be delayed, why it has been delayed, and why the delaying that which cause a less representations of women in the parliament. And thus the act requires a census schedule. It required a census census to be held, which the census will lead to delimitation, and delimitation will then provide a seats. And since independence, there was 4 delimitation commission formed. The recent one is in 2002. The new delimitation commissions are expected to raise the seats from 800 to 888 is speculated, and that is why it is talking about that recently we have 545 members, and the difference can be seen that there will be approx 350 difference if the 888 seats have been formed. So this increase will provide an percentage of rise, and that will serve as a women seats. So the overall that reservations of course will be increasing, but these still 545 will never replace the men's which are already elected or will be elected further. The act excludes reservation for Rajya Sabha and State Legislative Council, provides no sub-reservation for other backward classes. Article 15(3) of the Constitution empower the state to make special provision for women, children and allowing parliament. So this 15 clause 3, it allows the parliament to form special provisions for upliftment of the vulnerable section of the society like women, children. The purpose solution include modestly expanding the Lok Sabha immediately. The government must address design gaps and OBC reservation and all those things which has been mentioned in this article. Next one is the import of FP. Recently we got a deal with on one hand we have deal with USA, another with European Union. These are the areas from where the apples have been imported to India. India has like Jammu and Kashmir, which produce 70% of total produce. Thus the farmers have fear that whether this imported apple will lead to minimize the demand, they will minimize the profit, and all those things that have been raised, and especially the Jammu and Kashmir peoples where they produced, and because of US and Europeans using high-end technologies, AIs and modern technologies that make their productivity much low, so their price becomes very much competitive, and when they enter into the Indian market they may compete with the domestic products, and the farmers have fear that the farmers might face the problem because of their decreasing profit levels. Other is the freedom of speech of MPs. This is a kind of privilege which has been provided to MPs under Article 105. Indian constitutions guarantee the freedom of speech for members of parliament subject to other constitutional provisions and the rules of house. The Supreme Court has clarified that restrictions on right should not eclipse those rights implies to MPs freedom of speech in parliament. Actually, the freedom of speech in parliament means that MPs are free to speak in the parliament, and whatever has been spoken on in the parliament, that will not be considered as a criminal activity, or the cases cannot be initiated against them. So that is kind of a safeguard, and you can say privileges to the MPs which has been provided by the constitutions. Because during budget session, concerns were raised about excessive restriction on MPs' freedom of speech, particularly regarding the expunction of portion of speeches. Mallikarjun Kharge, that is the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, wrote to the chairman requesting restoration of expunged portion of the speech, citing incoherence caused by the cuts. Rule 380 of the procedure permits the speaker to expunge unparliamentary, defamatory, indecent and undignified words. This under 380 rule number, the speaker is empowered to expunge, to eliminate, to deduct the unparliamentary words from which has been said by the MPs. Our Constitution recognizes the freedom of speech as a key privilege of MPs, essential for legislative effective functioning. Legislative effective functioning. This is all about the news. The important thing is we need to understand that under Article 105 there is a provide a freedom of speech to the MPs. According to that, if whatever they speak in the parliament, they shall not be punished. And but there is a other aspects where if there is a rule number 380 in the parliament on which if they use unparliamentary word, a speaker can expunge those words. Ivor Jennings highlighted the role of opposition in criticizing government. So Ivor Jennings was a political thinker, and we get to listen his mentions in the polity while studying the polity or political science. The next one is fixed deposits guarantees return. Because of fixed deposits have been traditional saving option from the long past ago, but they face a limitation such as full taxation of interest and reinvestment risk. Why this is happening? Because guaranteed return plans are insurance linked saving products which offer the fixed return, and the returns are being unaffected by the market movements on the interest rates. But these plans allow individual to plan for the life goals and education and other financial securities, which has currently been giving the return of 6.9 to 7%. But after maturity from guaranteed return plans qualify for tax exemptions. There is like 5 lakh under 80C of income tax. The example like there is an investment of 24 lakh in a guaranteed return plan offering 6.9% tax-free return, which result in higher corpus after 10 years. Compared to an FD with a 6% interest, especially after accounting for the taxation. So it covers the built-in life cover. So this is all about the news. Next one is protein tweaked as a quantum body sensor. There is a fluorescent protein, proteins, which traditionally used for visualizing molecule inside cell, have been recognized for their potential to act as a quantum sensor. Quantum sensors typically rely on solid materials like diamond, which are challenging to integrate into the biological systems, whereas protein can be naturally produced by the cell, and they can be positioned precisely using the genetic instructions. So the living things like the protein can replace the diamonds like solid materials, which are challenging to integrate into the biological systems. And thus this was a protein based quantum sensor. Its applications are like it overcome the limitation of traditional biological quantum sensor such as weak responses, degradation under the light exposure, And by combining stability, sensitivity, and genetic compatibility, these are the challenges which can be overcome by using the protein quantum based sensors. There was British Academy of Film and Television Arts 79th, which was India achieved a historic milestone at BAFTA Awards, which was held on Sunday. The Manipuri film Boong, which was directed by Lakshmi Priya Devi, won India's first BAFTA Awards in the Best Children and Family Film category. Boong, and that is why the actor and producer Farhan Akhtar and Ritesh Sindhwani, who supported the film, attended the event alongside the director Ms. Devi. Next one is why the US dropped a radiation safety rule. The linear no threshold, that is LNT, linear no threshold model is a risk estimation framework stating that any amount of ionizing radiation carries some risk of harm, especially cancer, and risk increasing linearly with dose. ALARA, which is a short form as low as reasonably achievable. ALARA, as low as reasonably achievable, is an operational philosophy of radiation protection. Which reduce the unnecessary exposure and promote safety culture. The US Department of Energy eliminated ALARA from its directive and regulations, marking a significant departure from long-standing national and international radiation protection practices. This change, by citing decades of nuclear facility operating experience and the need to foster nuclear innovation and advanced nuclear technologies, following orders from former President Donald Trump. The critics argue that this is politically motivated and which relies on non-peer reviewed internal reports and risk undermining worker protection, public trust, and regulatory coherence. International Commission on Radiological Protection, that is ICRP, the United Nations Scientific Committee on Effects of Atomic Radiation, and the WHO World Health Organization, which continue to rely on this LNT, which is the linear no threshold. Like this decides that how much radiation should be there, and radiation to which limit can cause to the cancers and other harm to the human beings. And recently the US Department of Atomic Energy has given up this ALARA system, which provides some radiation protections. India's inflation index has been updated. Recently, India's inflation rate in recent times has been measured by CPI urban plus rural plus mixed. So this has been calculated by NSO MOSPI. Body is NSO, and recently the base year to calculate this consumer price index has been updated, and the category also, earlier there was 6 categories, now it was a more precise category of 12 distinct categories were made. The CPI general combined, that is mixed one, in general is provisionally reported. Inflation rate measure the pace of price increases that we are already aware of. And top 5 states with the highest inflation in the January are like Telangana, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. The revised CPI 2024 has been considered as a base year, which include rural housing and utilities. It has added the rural housing, because earlier it was assumed that people in the rural house don't rent their houses, and they mostly live in their own houses, and most of the renting activities is being taken place in the urban areas. But now the rural, because of increasing rural tourism, or you can say more migration, that is why there is a introduced a new varieties, a new category, that is rural housing and utilities. Rural housing and utilities, it has been added to this 12 category. So this was the news. The next one is like security agency have raised concern over illegal use of satellite communication devices in Indian water. There was a director general of shipping which found out that there was a illegal communication has been done through cellular networks, and there was the use of Thuraya satellite equipment remains banned in Indian waters. So this is the next one is there can be question asked where Delhi Meerut regional rapid transit system RRTS has been sanctioned by the government under the Namo Bharat regional rapid transit systems, which covers the 5 kilometer stretch in Delhi and 21 kilometer in Uttar Pradesh, which complete the Delhi Meerut corridor. The project features integration of Indian Railway, metro and bus stands, facilitating seamless travels. So these are the news of the day. Thank you for watching.